Hello there, you're watching and listening to another podcast on www.fantasyfootballscout.co.uk, and my name is Mark.
My name's Granville.
My name's Jonty.
My name's Andy.
And my name's Az.
Good evening, gentlemen. We're almost bang on time, 1 minute behind schedule. That is a first. I don't think we've ever been so early on a ScoutCast evening. We're so organised this week, which is good. Yes, welcome to the ScoutCast, or the Magic Circle, as we call it nowadays, after last week's feat between Granville and Jonty. More on that later on. Now, they've promised to try and recreate it, but I just don't think it's going to happen. Okay, yes, the ScoutCast. Welcome to this. We're going to talk tonight about, in particular, about the template, which is going to take up a lot of our time, no doubt. There's going to be lots to discuss on that, I'm sure. We had a good Wild Rover post a hot topic, didn't he, Jonty, in the week? And yeah. I quickly sticked that, hulked it up. I thought, yes, I'm having some of this. I was in there, and it's grown, and it's a big discussion, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I immediately waded in as well with my thoughts on it. Lots of people did, and then just immediately I thought, oh, okay, ScoutCast tonight. We'll have a bit of that on there, definitely. Yeah, I've got a few other. Yeah.
I think that's essential. Also tonight, we'll come back to you in a moment. But also tonight, I've got to say this right at the top of the show. Granville, 3 points behind me now. It's on, isn't it? The old rivalry is on. It's like rolling back to 2010. You are having a fly-in season now. For the wild card has just got you back in the race, Granville. You're gonna. I mean, I don't know the last time you beat me. Our rivalry has kind of been diffused the last few seasons, but you are really on it this year, aren't you?
I think the last time I beat you, you just had a really poor season.
Yeah,
a really poor one, and that was the only, it was just I just beat you sort of by default. But now I haven't really kept my end up of the rivalry over the last few years.
Well, you've been concentrating on your magic mainly, but you're back in it now, aren't you? So
yeah, something's happening this season. So, and as I said last week, I had a poor run of games. I thought, here we go again. But I picked it up since that wildcard, picked it up again, and then again this week I did pretty well. And that template there, team. I mean, a lot of us have got it now.
You were on it early though, weren't you?
Yeah, that's the thing. That's what's pulled me up.
Yeah, well, we're going to talk about that in detail. And now I've got to confess, I haven't really been looking at it. I mean, I look above me really. I always look, I try and look at the teams above me and go, okay, what are they up to? What are they doing? And you've been creeping up. And when Jonty sent the notes for him, and went, he's only 3 points behind, I was like, no, I can't be right. And I had a look, and you are. So, yeah, it's on. I'm very pleased about that because it's nice to have you back.
Would that prevent you doing a hit this week? Because if you did a hit, then I'd be automatically ahead of you.
No, I don't know. I guess I look at overall rank over mini leagues, which is interesting. A lot of people look at their mini leagues first, but I don't. I kind of have overall rank in mind now these days because I'm in so many leagues. In the early days I was in 1 or 2, but now I'm in 7 or 8, so I don't really have one that I can. Mods and cons, I guess, but I don't know. It's a strange one. I think I've changed the way I've played in the last 4 or 5 years, perhaps because of that.
That's quite upsetting, actually, that I'm not considered important enough to check.
But it is now. I mean, definitely now. I mean, I think from now on I will be looking at your scores. I have been checking the last 3 or 4 weeks because I did note your wild card. Anyway, let's get back to Jonty with the topics. We're going to talk about the template. A lot to discuss there. What else have we got on the show?
Well, yeah, and some choices up top. Now, I know, you'll reveal a bit later the choice that you've already made, Mark. But, people, particularly with Morata, I wonder who to get into. Guerrero and Firmino, the 2 names people are thinking. We're also, if we've got time, we're going to have a chat about Stoke, which is the ultimate form versus fixture conundrum, really. Awful form, amazing fixtures, and all the usual stuff. Looking back at our game weeks, rough with a smooth, and ahead to the game week. Got to get some Fancy Island risks in as well.
Yeah, no ScoutCast will be complete without discussion about Stoke. We might talk about Harry Kane at some point as well. Az and Andy join us. Now, we're going to go over our game weeks first, and I think for all the wrong reasons, I'm starting with Az first of all. I'm going to start at the bottom this time. And we don't need to look very far to find out what went wrong. Tell us all about it, Az.
Yeah, so I wasn't feeling Kane for whatever reason. I thought Sam Allardyce would park the bus. Kane's been struggling at Wembley. Spurs have been struggling at Wembley. I thought everyone's going to captain him. And rather than play it safe, I thought I'd give the captaincy to someone else. So I could have gone for Salah, who I thought, there's going to be loads of goals in that game. He seems like a really good pick. Or I could go one step further and put it on Messi Lingard. Oh, what a terrible decision.
Did you even throw this? I don't remember you throwing it out there when we went round on the Scoutcast.
Well, do you know what? It could have been worse because on the Scoutcast last week, I said I wasn't going to captain Kane. I was probably going to get in Hazard for Ali and captain him. So actually, that would have been even worse because then it would have been a 4-point hit. Hazard blanked, Ali got an assist, and it would have been 2 points. So it could have been worse. So actually, I'm a little bit fortunate that I didn't go through with that. But yeah, I mean, it's interesting, isn't it? I mean, I was thinking about it, and I don't want to. This is the kind of way I've been playing all season. I've been moving the captaincy around quite a lot and not just putting it on the safe option, and it's worked really well for me. And I don't want to stop playing like I've been playing just because I'm round about the top 1K mark. It would have been sensible to have just put it on Kane because I knew that's where everyone was going. But I honestly thought Spurs would struggle in that game, and so it didn't. I already had 3 Spurs players, and it just seemed a bit too much about putting all my eggs in the basket. Hold my hands up, completely wrong in hindsight. I think Lingard was unlucky to not get an assist from that game. He did create a couple of chances, but yeah, it was very disappointing. 61 points in the end, and seeing some of the scores on the site and you guys, people have clawed away at my lead, and Jack Wayne has now overtaken me in the mods and cons league. Yeah,
Jack's doing very well. I mean, this is it. I mean, because of the template, which we're going to talk about later on, we're all, obviously when you take a risk like you've done there, that's the gamble. But everybody, we all captain Kane, and we all got green arrows. We all got decent scores. Granville came out on top. We'll come to him in a minute. So we're all doing better than each other slightly, but the scores are all kind of within 10 points, and that is a symptom of the template. Was that playing on your mind when you looked at your team? Did you think, well, I'm in the top 1,000 now, or you were? So it's almost like you got a bit of what Jay was going through. Like, he'd done so much, he got so far, and he started thinking, obviously, I've got to start being different. Did that enter your head as well?
I don't think so. No, I don't think so. I think I just looked at my team and I thought, who do I think is going to score the most points? Just the same as I do every week. And I thought Kane would struggle, so that ruled him out. It was between Salah and Lingard when it came to Saturday. And then, I mean, Stoke just conceded so many goals. Lingard in great form. United, playing relatively well lately. I just thought I'd have a go, and I didn't think I would get as punished as much as I did. But once those 2 goals went in for Kane, then I knew it was going to be a rough week.
I've got to say, in the build up to the game, when I saw the Stoke City team sheet, I was like, actually, he could be on something here. Lingard could do very well.
When I saw Shawcross was out,
terrible game, to be honest.
Yeah.
He must have kicked 10, 12 Stoke players before he finally got his booking. I was watching, I think Andy tweeted, you did, didn't you, Andy, saying one more kick, surely it's a booking.
I was surprised it took that long to be honest, like you say.
And I was just watching him going, what is going on tonight? It just wasn't happening for him at all.
Passed him by.
Yeah, and I think it was frustrating because I could have afforded Pogba. I've got loads of money in the bank. I could have gone for Pogba. He was the kind of player I wanted, but I got swayed by Lingard's price, and I guess a bit of the template did sway me a bit. So well, disappointing.
I've got a theory on Pogba. I mean, he's very attractive in that he's got 2 double-figure scores now. But what's extraordinary is his 4 assists that he's got. He's got 2 assists in the last 2 games. Look at those 4 assists. 1 assist to Lingard, world-class finish against Everton. 1 assist to Martial against Everton, world-class finish. 1 assist to Martial again, world-class finish. 1 assist. Who scored the final goal? Was it Martial got the first?
Valencia got the first.
Yeah. So basically, all 4 assists were good, were excellent finishes and simple passes. So it's difficult. People are going, oh, he's in the same bracket as De Bruyne for assists, but he's cheaper. But you look at the assists that De Bruyne gets compared to those 4 assists. They were straightforward passes followed by incredible finishes by Valencia, 2 from Martial and 1 from Lingard.
Well, I think it's
more that, all the time.
Well, no, I think it's more that he makes them look world class because the pass is simple and it's timely, and it gives the striker the time to produce that finish rather than being harried and rushed. Like a couple of weeks ago, we were on here talking about that Spurs game against West Ham. And facet of West Ham's game is that they were just closing down Spurs players. And finally, Son was the only one who could actually get a shot away. What Pogba's doing is he's just creating that. I mean, he's great. Yeah,
but you still got to look at those shots and think that they were extraordinary goals.
I think one time you'd think, second time, okay, there's a pattern here. Third time, okay, fourth time, Pogba's just making it easy for them. How many?
The one for Martial was a great pass actually, because
Yeah,
he could have
they're
just
all good
crossed it.
passes. I'm not saying
He
that.
could have crossed it. Most players are just crossed that into the middle of the box, but he cut it back. He cut it back sort of sideways. It was sort of a bit of a blind pass. So I actually thought that was better than you're giving him credit for.
No,
Same
they're
for the
all good
first one,
passes, but I'm not. I'm comparing. People are comparing to De Bruyne because he's got the same number of assists. But if you look at the vision that De Bruyne has, the types of goals that De Bruyne sets up for Aguero and Sané and so on, it's a different kind of assist to the last 4 we've seen, and obviously those 4 have made a big difference to his.
Are you advocating giving more points for a better assist?
No. I'm just saying it. We
There
shouldn't.
was a debate there to be had.
Well, I just think we shouldn't. Those 4 assists were for extraordinary goals, and if you look at the XG values on those goals, they're like tiny. So that's. I think.
Would they be counted as key? Would those be counted as key passes?
Yeah, of course.
In the Opta stats,
Yeah.
all of them.
Yeah, because they lead to a shot.
And every assist is counted as a key pass.
Yeah, I mean, basically any pass which then is followed by a shot is a key pass.
What about just a bootlace or just some kind of unintentional knock? That's counted as a key pass?
Yeah, anything which leads to a teammate shooting is a key pass.
So key pass is an assist, well, other than the ones that aren't scored. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, you can't have an assist without it being a key pass. Anyway, my point is those 4 assists, I think, were extraordinary goals. I mean, just incredible finishes by the player, the goal scorer. So I think we need to be a bit more time before we start going, oh, it's Pogba, not Lingard. I think we need to just bide our time a little bit.
No, I agree.
Because he only had 2 touches in the box again as well. He didn't really get in the box. When I saw the team sheet, I thought, well, he's playing deeper. He did go forward a load more than he normally does, but then he's at home to Stoke. So let's see what he's like at Burnley and Spurs. If he plays alongside Matic there, it will probably be different. Let's see. Anyway, that's enough about Lingard. Let's get on to the next manager at the bottom. That is me. I got 80 points. It's all right. I mean, Morata, again, low. I gave him 1 more week, and what did he do? He got booked. He got 1 point. Hazard got 1 point. Hazard and Morata had 1 shot between them as well, which is just extraordinary. I just did not see that coming. Leicester turned up without Wes Morgan and without Simpson. I thought that Chelsea would get some joy. They were terrible, Chelsea. Morata, terrible, but they were all bad. And I don't know. I wonder whether the mind games of Mourinho has got to Conte and that's distracting the players. But Chelsea at the moment just did look very poor. So
Conte doesn't seem to have. He seems to have. He's got plan Bs, which he brings his players on 60, 70 minutes in, but he never changes his starting lineup. Other than he'll change the fullbacks, but he won't. It'd be Hazard and Morata every single time, and he's got so many options there.
Until Andy Carroll comes.
I cannot believe that's a thing. I cannot believe that's
from. Where's that?
The thing is, it's not going away. It's not
Andy Carroll's agent. It's probably
away. We'll see. But you're right, though. I think Willian seems to me like a player that should be playing for a team where he starts every game. I think he's so good. Yeah, Pedro does well as well.
Playing a 3 up front, the big teams. I think Moses is a bit of a waste as well, waste of space.
How can you say that about Victor?
Sorry.
Costa has impressed me. No, so Morata had to go because I look at them going to Brighton and think, yeah, they could come good, but I can't keep saying that week after week because they've had good fixtures and just never really convinced. They had the 5-0 win over Stoke, and of course Morata got nothing out of that, which we really should have done given the chances that he had. And they scored 3 at Arsenal, and again he got nothing, and again he should have done. But I can't keep hanging on waiting for it to happen. He's probably going to punish me at Brighton.
I think he will because he's had the most headed goal attempts of the season, and I don't know if you noticed the Brighton defence against West Brom, but they're not too good against tall blokes who like to head balls.
Well, it's set pieces, isn't it? It's corners.
Yeah, and it's set pieces. They and that's where I think if Fabregas is playing, if he's on corners, whoever's on corners basically is going to be aiming at Morata's head.
Yeah, but it's not just Morata.
And it's also Alonso, and I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, Alonso, Rudiger, Cahill, Christensen, they've got
Carroll in the box. But Morata is the top header of goals.
They might sign Carroll just for this game.
I just think if I was a Morata owner, this Brighton game was the one I'd want him for.
Yeah. Houghton just throws in the towel as well.
I definitely. I'd get a sofa.
Maybe I don't see it. I mean, Chelsea. I mean, he could score, but I mean, I don't see the way Chelsea are playing right now. The last few games, I don't know. I don't see them going there and winning convincingly. I think Morata can nick a goal. Absolutely.
I mean, I think the way I look at it is, if Alan Pardew can do his homework on Brighton's defence, I'm fairly convinced Conte's capable of it.
Yeah, but Brighton at home are different to Brighton away as well. That's what we've seen, isn't it, all season? They've been pretty good at the Amex, apart from the Liverpool game.
Chelsea once again set pieces again. Yeah.
Well, I don't know. One of them, yeah, but a lot of it was on the break, wasn't it? And they were a bit naive again. I don't see it. I think Houghton's a bit more savvy at home. I think it'd be all right. But Morata, I can't keep waiting. It's 4 games now in all competitions, and Chelsea. If Chelsea were playing well, I mean, like against Stoke, Chelsea played well and he missed chances. But when I watched the Leicester game and saw how bad Chelsea played, I'm like, well, he's not going to get goals in the team playing badly. He's got to have everybody around him playing. Hazard was the one. Often 57 minutes, just didn't. I mean, I was holding Morata because I just thought in the team with Hazard playing well, he's going to get goals. But if Hazard doesn't get back on it, that's going to be a problem for him as well. I don't know. But anyway, he's
made you transfer, yeah.
Yeah, he's got 80 points. It's okay week. Fine. John T, you got 81. What was the story there?
Well, yeah, I resisted your siren-like charms to get Lingard in, and the who got the assist lads put a really nice thing up on Twitter. It's a picture of me as this shipwrecked sailor, and the likes of you, Mark, trying to woo me as sirens, trying to woo me onto the rocks.
Was Jesse a mermaid? I really want to see it.
No, he's the rocks. Okay. But no, I resisted your charms there, and so went with my usual lot: Eriksen, Ali, Salah, Arnautovic, Firmino, Kane, captain. Yeah, similar story to yours. I don't have Alonso still, but yeah, I'm up to 3,000 or so I'm happy with that. Notched up another notch on the old rankings there. And I did a little bit because the last time I did do any transfers was double game week 22, and for that I got rid of Pogba, which obviously, but because of the players I've got in, including Arnautovic, I'm actually now 12 points up on the deal, including that hit. So I feel okay about that. But obviously, I still do regret leaving Pogba behind. But the others have done well.
Okay, and Andy, 92, decent week, very strong, climbing up again. So what was behind that? Obviously, the Kane captaincy. What else, Jeff?
I had the template, and that's all you need. I cut my rank in half from 51k to 25k. I pretty much had everyone. I feel like my team right now is kind of what most people are trying to build towards for the most part. Kane, Firmino, Captain Kane, had Salah, Arnautovic, obviously 16 points was amazing. And I've still got Son, so I'm really happy with the Son pick because he was the only Spurs mid I went for. He's outscored Eriksen and Ali for less money. I've got Alonso for a hit a couple of weeks ago. He's already repaid that. The only downside really was the same 2 players that everyone's got anyway, which is Sterling and Otamendi. They obviously scored nothing between them. So a little bit disappointed I didn't get to 100 because I was on 65 from 5 on Saturday. And I know you can't complain about 92. I know. Everyone will hate me now. But when you get that close, I haven't hit 100 yet this season. So a little disappointed in that. But overall, that ranking climb is great. And one reason I'll be pro template when we discuss it, I think.
And Granville also on the template early, 93 points. I guess there's not a lot of difference between your team and Andy's in. From what
there's no point in me saying anything because Andy's just said everything. We might as well do this every week, Andy.
I think
we have almost the same team.
You did tweet me a few weeks ago saying I was basically copying you, and that's how I'm climbing up the ranks. Just copying you. I think you've got De Gea, I think, and I've got Jones. I think that's one of the only differences. Yeah. Maybe why you got 93.
It means you'll never be able to overtake me. Are you going to change your team the last game of the season?
No, let's see who you're captaining this week. I don't know if I'm going to be captaining the same as you guys.
We can hold hands and rise up the ranks and
overtake Mark together.
The template's going to be smashed,
and then we get John, and then as well.
He keeps captaining Lingard, and we're sorted.
Back down to us first.
The thing is, though, I've got similar teams to you as well. I mean, me and Andy had almost identical teams a couple of weeks ago, and your wildcard Granville was effectively turned into my team a couple of weeks later with Son, Lingard, Alonso. But it's not by design. I just think it was the players were just obvious routes to go down. I think I posted in the discussion today. It's mainly based on Alonso coming good, and then because of that, it flushed money out of midfield, and then it led you to Arnie, led you to Lingard, and that's what's happened. And I think we've all arrived at the same place almost. John T's resisting Alonso to this point, but it's going to come. I guess it's going to come for Alonso John T as well, and then we'll see what happens. But we're going to talk tonight about breaking that up. But we'll look.
I have to say though that last week, I don't know if you remember the ScoutCast. There was a few things. The first thing I sort of threatened to do was Captain Lingard, and I feel a little bit guilty that I didn't go through with it, and Az did, and I just wonder whether I influenced him at all in that decision.
We've seen your powers last week, so I mean, it wasn't only glasses that you were actually moving across to other members of the ScoutCast team, but also thoughts that you were planting into Az's mind. Did you feel anything last week, Az, when you were discussing that? Maybe
also Granville said, "Oh, well, you'll all be captaining Kane anyway, so this is all pointless." So, I mean,
you know what it was actually after the ScoutCast, I then said, "Who has Kane got this week?" Because honestly, during the ScoutCast, I didn't actually realise he had Everton at home. I just didn't realise. And then I thought, how can a captain Lingo when Kane's at home to Everton, who have let in the most shots over the last few weeks? So it then became, should I do what I said on the podcast, or should I just do what's sensible?
I mean, having got a PhD in psychology, I'd like to think that Granville isn't like Jedi mind tricking me into these.
Well, I think because he knows you're a maverick manager, and something you like to be, and he's saying you're all going to captain Kane, and what he's suggesting, but who out there would dare do something different? Who?
And then you've got Mark.
And all the time, as you're thinking, oh, Captain Kane, and at the end you think maybe I will be the maverick.
And then you've got Mark saying, "Go on, you can win it. Like take some punts, that'll be fine."
It's totally innocent. I have noticed that the Granville has started doing a lot better since he started coming back on the ScoutCast, and he's caught up with me since he started coming back. And I think what he's doing, maybe he is just planting these seeds of doubt in our heads, and gradually I'm getting further down. He's getting,
in the old days of the ScoutCast when it was just you two. This is why people listened. Probably the only reason was Granville's mind games on.
I did do loads.
He's like, Darren Brown. It's ridiculous.
I'm getting worried.
I have to say though, I think a reason why I'm doing better coming on the ScoutCast, I am actually picking up tips as well. So I am listening to you, and I did.
That Harry Kane guy is actually quite good.
Yeah. The one I did listen to last week, because I did. Do you remember I mentioned that I was thinking about dropping Arnie?
Yeah.
I was considering going Arnie to Pogba.
Were you?
And I did mention it, and it wouldn't have been that bad. I'd have lost about 5 points, but I didn't do it in the end because, again, West Ham, decent fixture, and I just had second thoughts. But I think I do remember you being, slightly opposed to me doing it. You thought it was strange that I would do that with such a good fixture. And
I just thought Carroll's not going to play, and Moyes are going to play him up front, and he did, and he delivered. I didn't expect him to deliver like he did, but yeah.
No, it was good. So this week's another week. We could. I mean, you play from week to week, don't you? You can't just because I did well this week and last week. It doesn't mean. I mean, next week I could have a shocker. You
could do, but then Andy will have a shocker, and I'll have a little bit of a shocker because we've all got very similar teams. Anyway, let's talk about rough with the smooth, John T. What have we got amongst the community? It's all about Lingard, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, I mean. All of your mind games on the community was a devastating effect, really. Mike Harborough, he thought, oh no, I can swap out an Artovich. I'm going to get Lingard in because Mark's going on about him, and Granville wants to dump an Artovich, and he succumbed to it, mesmerised by your hypnotism. Rossendale Rover, he thought, I'm going to get rid of Son. I don't fancy Spurs at home, so I'll get Son out for Lingard. That didn't work out too well. And the rumour mill, just like as Captain Lingard. This guy I like, Los Blancos, he waved goodbye to his free hit team that he'd had the previous week. So he was welcoming back his new team. So out went his free hit team of Arnautovic, Lanzini, Son and Kane. And in came his usual team, which had Morata. And he got Lingard in because he felt he needed a bit of pepping up, and he ended up with 42 points. And
this is what I said about the free hit, didn't I? Remember I said it's like your team does well with the free hit, and then the other lot comes back and you go, oh, not you lot again.
Yeah. Oh, well, that's it. I mean, that was the thing why one of the reasons I didn't free hit that week, and a lot of other people didn't, that double game, was because the players you're getting in, those West Ham and Spurs players, they've got a couple more good fixtures, so it does seem you're going to want them, really. And some smooths though. So some did even better than Granville and Andy, a squishy potato. He got 105 points. And what he did is something we're going to talk about shortly about the template. He did a bit of an unusual double up that not many people do. So Arnautovic and Lanzini, and that really paid off. He captained Son as well, so it went a bit different as well. And Dom got 100 points. Wilson, another template busting player from Bournemouth there. Pogba, Lanzini as well. So Lanzini's a real template buster, proving. Ericsson, another, and Salah and Kane, usual suspects there. So, yeah, some template busting smooths there.
Good stuff. Yeah, I mean, Lingard. I don't know. He had a poor game, but I don't think we can write him off yet. But I think we had an email exchange this morning about it. I think typically there were bandwagons that I would call low tolerance in the when they start to blank, you're not going to give them many blanks before you start moving them out. Whereas there are other players like Morata, perhaps like Hazard, who you think, well, they're in a good team. They're quality players. They're going to deliver. Whereas you look at Lingard, yes, he's in a good team, but we know that there's going to be regression at some point. And maybe Monday night was the start of it. We'll see. They've got tough fixtures to come next 2 away games. But I think, a lot of people are going to move out on Lingard if he blanks in the next couple, maybe the next one. It's just the way it is because we know that burst of form is not typical of what we come to expect from Lingard. Maybe he can keep it up. We talked about him being another Ramsey or another Toure. Maybe he will be. But I think we're only going to be willing to give him probably 2 or 3 more games before we start seeing sales. So, yeah, I mean, not a disaster on Lingard yet, but we probably won't be captaining him again in a hurry, Az. Okay, let's talk about the template then. He is part of that template, of course, John T. Let's go through the questions that we've got.
Yeah, so this is something Wild Rover posted that we mentioned earlier. So I'll just quote him here. Wild Rover says, we desperately need some new transfers in the Premier League. I'm currently 160,000 of virtually the same team as the guy that's number 1. Seems like just about every team I look at has the same players. And he lists some of them here. So Alonso, Otamendi, one of Jones and Christensen, Arnautovic, Son, Sterling, Salah, Lingard, Kane and Firmino. That's just some he's mentioned there. So the game is just going to stagnate with only different captain choices having an effect. How do we break this template? And which players would you recommend?
And he hit the nail on the head there when he mentioned the overall rank number 1, because that is what made me think about this last weekend. I normally at this stage of the season, we look at the top manager often at this point and we go, normally they've played a couple of chips, maybe played triple captain, maybe bench boost even. That would explain why they're so high up. Also, I look at their team and go, well, they're 150, 200 points ahead of me, but I reckon my team's going to be better in terms of value and I'll have players that they haven't got that they're going to want. I looked at this guy's team, absolutely nailed the template, almost identical to my team. And I'm like, one, I don't know how he's done that. Obviously, he's made fantastic decisions all the way along. He's gone to the same players as me, but he's already got 100, 200 points more. And B, I'm thinking, if that's the world's number 1, then obviously there's managers around him, probably got that team as well. So what do we do now? We could just go, I'm quite happy finishing 20,000 in the world. That'll do nicely. Thanks very much. I'll bank that. Or you can go like Jay did, no doubt. Well, I'm going to have to roll the dice a bit here. Maybe I'm not going to go as far as Jay. Not many people will be brave enough to do what he did. But I think we've got to start looking and going, like Wild Rover says. Otherwise, we're all going to stagnate and we're all going to settle for what we've got. I think, John, a few seasons back, you had this, might be a couple of seasons ago, where you get to a certain point, don't you? You reach saturation with the team you've got. And you can't go, you go up a couple of thousand, down to a couple of thousand.
Yeah.
Just nowhere.
I mean, luckily for me, I had an absolute awful season to really put me in check. But yeah, the previous 4 or 5 seasons, I was finishing in the top 5,000. Not really moving. I couldn't get into the top 100, 500. I couldn't even move out of the top 5,000. I just wouldn't move. And I was getting quite bored. So I was getting bored with FPL, definitely. But as I said, luckily, I had an absolute mare to keep me in check and get my interest back again. But
so you'll settle for what you get this time, maybe. But
this year I've learned a bit from that. And I don't want to go back once again to that point of being bored again. And I think I'm hopeful. I'm at the stage now where I'm not. I mean, this time last season, I was just scraping into the top 1 million. So I'm going to have to take quite a dramatic fall to get that far back. But you never know. No, I don't think. I mean, I just mentioned it. There's a few things that I think you can do to break the template, and I know it's something Andy will speak about. partially in defence of the template. And I don't think I looked at my score yesterday, and I would have gone up even higher if I'd have had even more of the template with a Manchester United defender. And I've noticed this week on week. Basically, yesterday's game, the Manchester United game added about 10 points to the top 10,000 rank. Now, I had 3 coming in off my bench from a goalkeeper switch, but other than that, it meant that I went down from about 2,500 to 3,500 in the rankings. Now, I'd be 2,500 now. So I would actually advocate, if you want to rise up the rankings, to stick really closely with the template, apart from 2 or 3 players, and they're your key ones. They're the ones who can get up. But there's a few other things. One I really think is this doubling up. We've just seen it, Lanzini, Arnautovic. It's doubling up on them. So this is something brought up by one of the posters, Jesus. So he was talking about double Spurs midfield has been really good recently. And then also those that have Pogba and Lingard. So Lingard didn't do well, but Pogba did. Well, that's another rankings boost there. Mane to go alongside Salah, another great rankings boost there. And I haven't seen many teams with De Bruyne and Sterling. Now, if you get De Bruyne and Sterling with a good run of fixtures for Man City, that in itself is so. Perhaps both are template players. Put them together though, and you've got something different. And that's what I like as well. And also, I also think just a point about what is the template really depends where you are in the rankings. So the top 10,000 template is very different to the overall template. So, for example, in the top 10,000, the top owned mids are Sterling, Salah, Lingard, Son, and Arnautovic. They're your template. But overall, Son and Arnautovic are nowhere to be seen. The top 5 owned mids are actually Salah, Sterling, De Bruyne, Lingard, and Eriksen. So to say to someone who's got Son, who's 150,000 in the world, I'll get rid of Son. He's just template. No, he's not. He's a differential for you. So Son and Arnie are great differentials if you're outside the top 10,000. Great template busters, but not so in the top 10,000. So that's what I think as well. You need to really look at your rank. The FPL Discovery site is quite good. It tells you what the template is for the top 10,000 if you're in that group as well. And I think that's quite good as well. So, yeah, those 2 thoughts here, doubling up and look at where you are and what is the template, because it's going to be different for different people.
Yeah, I mean, I'll come back to you on that, but let's go to Andy because he's going to speak in defence of the template. He's obviously done very well with it, including this week. And whereas I'm feeling a little bit nauseous about it, you are rejoicing about the whole concept of it, are you?
Pretty much. Like I'm doing okay, so I don't see why I would change anything right now. I mean, before I try and defend this, I mean, what would you consider percentage-wise, say top 10K, as a template player? What percentage would they have to hit where you'd say they're completely template?
Well, it's not so much. I don't really care about how many people in the top 10,000 have got these players, but I know that all the people in the Mods and Cons League, for example, when you look at the scores that come in every week, we're all very similar. Jonty's right. One of the main differences, some have De Gea or Jones and some don't, like myself. I've got Christensen. So obviously that hasn't worked out for me. So I'm losing by 5 to 10 points in those weeks. But apart from that, my team is very similar to Jack's at the top of the Mods and Cons League. It's very similar to Granville, very similar to yours. And that's what I'm seeing. So I'm just really thinking about, well, if that's the case in our Mods and Cons League, I just think a lot of the players in the top 10,000 are going to be similar. I looked at the top player in the world and he's got a similar team. So I'm just looking at it thinking, right, when I come to make my next few decisions, there's a few factors I'm putting into it. Game week 28, of course, and so on, we talked about last week. But also, do I want to like, I could have gone Firmino this week easily, and maybe I should have done. But I look at it and think, well, Vardy's probably got a better fixture at home to Watford than Firmino at Swansea, maybe. Could be nothing in it. But I thought, I'll try something different, because I think, as I've said in a thread earlier today, I think there's probably 1 or 2 players in this template team, Son maybe, and Firmino, that I think you can risk changing at the moment. Lingard and Nautic will come into it, perhaps eventually, but right now I think their value is too strong. So Son and Vardy, I look at those and think maybe those 2, particularly with Son's fixtures coming up, could be the 2 to tweak. Now I could leave it, but I just think, well, one, where am I going to make a transfer? That's the one thing. I look at my team and think, well, you have to change the template because you've got to make a transfer every week, and it gets to, it's going to get to the point where you'll look at your team and go, "There's nothing I want to do to this."
That's what I'm at this
yeah,
week.
Exactly.
I'm going to be changing a bench player. I think the reason I ask is because I think sometimes people look. They want to change the template without actually needing to. So I looked at the percentage in the top 10K. You can argue whether you want to go top 100, top 1,000. I think most people would consider top 10K as a respectable finish. So you've got obviously Sterling and Salah owned by like 8 out of every 10 managers, and ultimately 7 out of 10, and then Kane 6 out of 10. After that, they're all under 50%. So I've got Firmino, who's doing really well for me. Every other manager doesn't own him. So every time he does well, I'm going to start overtaking those people. And who have they got instead that's going to punish me? Morata's quite low owned. He's like 13%. Aguero's only 18. So even if those players do really well one week, I don't feel like they're going to punish me long term. And that is I'm sure people in the chat right now and people listening, is a very dullard, safe, boring way to play, however you want to phrase it. But that's what gets you at the rankings. And, Jay went with Kane exit, didn't work out. But what he said for most of that ScoutCast was that he plays slow and steady. He doesn't take too many risks. And he just stays with the players that are doing well. So, Wild Rover, I think he said, was like 160K. But if he keeps those players and they keep performing well, he will get up the ranks. Now, you guys get into like Az was like nearly top 1K, so he took a bit of a risk maybe with Lingard to shoot up. And that's now backfired. If you captain Kane, he'd still be there and can maybe take a risk later on. And the other thing is, obviously, we've only got a certain player pool to play with. And as blanks come into play, that shrinks. And so it gets even harder to try and find these template players. So there are some players, like Johnny's already mentioned, like De Bruyne is only owned by 13%, Pogba's 9%. So there are players out there. But for me, while I'm doing well, I don't want to take the risk because I know I'm not going to win it this year. That's long gone. So for me, I want to get that higher overall rank because every time I come on here and I've got a poor rank, I know I have to go and listen to a load of people tell me I've got a bad rank. So I want to just try and get as high as possible. And the template does that, and safe captain picks do it. So for me, I'm not especially when, again, Alonso is only owned by every other manager. So every time he gets me a good set of points, I'm beating half of the people in the top 10K. So for me, template's good, and I'm not really looking to break it, apart from maybe Leicester players soon.
Yeah, I just think it's just a philosophy of the way of playing. I just think that sometimes, I'm going into this game with 2 free transfers, and I looked at it and thought, I haven't got any money in the bank, so I can't even make a bench change really. And besides, Quinar's fine, or Bonner and Kenny are fine. There aren't better options available for 4-4. So I thought, what am I going to do? So it's just an element of not getting bored. I think this is what Wild Rover was getting at. Like, there comes a point where you've got a settled template and you think, well, that's the team that everyone wants. So why would I change it? But you kind of do it because you want to play the game a little bit, I guess. I think that's an element of it as well. Could be a mistake. You've just captained Lingard, so it might have come into your thinking, as I said. But what's your views on the way the template is and how your team compares to it?
Yeah, I think it's important to remember that the template changes, quite regularly. I think one thing that I'm quite concerned with looking at my team is I seem to have a template of yesteryear with Calvert-Lewin still in there and Kenny and a few players, Pope still in there, who Burnley haven't been keeping clean sheets. And I think one of the secrets to my successes this season has been I've kind of stayed ahead of the curve quite well. So bringing in Alonso quite early, I brought in Hazard before his hauls, things like that. Coutinho did well for me. So it's a bit concerning when I look at my team and I realise actually I haven't now got the current template, and that is kind of where I want to be. I think the other thing is you've got to not be stubborn, and you've got to look at these template players and think, well, why are they the template? So I'm looking at Arnautovic and I'm thinking, well, he's playing up front. West Ham's fixtures are unbelievable. His recent points are, apart from the game he missed against Spurs, his points are absolutely crazy. And I think the only reason I wouldn't bring him in would be out of a kind of stubbornness to go against the template and to not bring him in. So that makes me think, well, I shouldn't do that. I should be looking to bring him in. Firmino, I think, is a bit different because, as Jonty said, you've got Mane. So I've avoided Firmino up till now because I had Coutinho, and I'm pretty sure Coutinho's bettered his points over the Christmas period, which was quite nice. And now I'm thinking to myself, well, can Mane, who's owned by 8%, better Firmino's points? And they're about the same price. Then, of course, you have the option, well, Firmino's a striker, and I have Calvert-Lewin in my team. So I could be looking to upgrade Calvert-Lewin to Firmino, and then that saves me a striker spot. So my point is that you've got to be sensible with the template. You've got to you've got to pick the players who are there for a reason and consider the ones who perhaps aren't so essential, like you mentioned, Mark. Wilson as well, I think is going to be a template buster over the next few. Great fixtures, really low ownership. I think he could be the next player who does creep into that template bracket.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. I mean, part of my reasoning is I'll get Vardy, not maybe for long term, maybe for 2 or 3 weeks, but Wilson is the one I've got my eye on coming in. And then who knows who's going to arrive in the window, whether Sanchez, that transfer is going to have a domino effect, Mkhitaryan, Walcott, players like this. Who knows? It could break up soon, and Wilson could be key to that. Granville, we'll come to you first because you actually put this template team together. You let's put it out there. You created the template first of all weeks ago when you played the wildcard. Your wildcard was the template effectively that is now in place. Do you feel responsible and guilty for that? That's the first question.
I don't like to take the credit off the players who actually score the points and the managers who pick them. But the trouble is with this template, I think, is that there's a Kane a few weeks ago was a bit of a you could sell in, and a lot of people did do, and so Kane wasn't nailed on in a template, whereas Salah and Sterling have been nailed on for quite a few weeks. So you got 3 players there who are already nailed on. The only ones I think who you could say, well, at the minute they could drop off over the next few weeks if they miss, they have a couple of blanks, are Arnautovic and Son. I think Lingard at the minute is just too cheap to and too valuable to get rid, unless he starts getting benched. I think that is cheap enough to keep as your sort of 5th midfielder. Do
you think Sanchez would force him out the team?
No.
I think it's more likely to force out Martial, or even if he could play him on the right hand side because Mata isn't really pulling up any trees. I don't think. I think he's replaceable, and there's no reason why Sanchez can't play out there. I know he's played on the left and cuts inside on his right. For Arsenal, but he could play on either side, surely. And that's where I think United's most need is. They do need a bit more pace.
Okay, I mean, so you don't think or presumably you didn't include Vardy in there, Firmino in there. So you think Firmino's not going to regress in the same way Son and Arnautovic could?
Well, historically, or over the last couple of seasons, Firmino has had a run of points and then quite a few blanks. So it just depends whether he can keep it up. He doesn't look replaceable at the minute. I think he's well set in my team. I think what we're gonna have to do is just wait and see, because eventually this template will get broken up, like every template is. It's not like we've got Ronaldo and Lampard and Gerrard. It's not the same with all those expensive players. And maybe if Hazard does something, he could come to the reckoning. I don't know, but at the minute it's pretty solid, and I think you have to skim around the sides, look elsewhere, look for your third striker and some defenders. I mean, I've actually got a couple in there. I've got because I did get Wilson in last night for Calvert-Lewin. And the trouble is that when do I play him?
Yeah, exactly. This is it. If the first man midfield is set, you're never going to turn to that third striker.
But I think you will do, because I think, I mean, the likelihood that all 7 players are going to start becomes less and less. I mean, they probably will do, but I think at some point, I mean, to break up the template, you just start your third striker. Then I could start Wilson over Lingard, for instance, this week, because Lingard has Burnley away, and they're pretty tough nut to crack. Burnley at home, and United. You never know; they could struggle, and Lingard might actually start. You never know. And then look at the back line. We've all got Alonso and Otamendi, so it's your third or fourth defender. I mean, I've got De Gea instead of Jones. I think he's actually more nailed on than. I mean, I think Jones is. You never know with Jones, with his injuries. So that's the reason why I went with that. And so I just have to try and pick up points elsewhere with those other. 2 or 3 defenders. I've got Alexander-Arnold, so I'm going to play him. He could be.
But I mean, this is it, though. What you just said is, in a nutshell, the situation we're in. We are restricted to playing the game in 2 or 3 positions because everyone else, we feel, that's the perception, has got the rest of our team. That is why I looked at it and thought, well, I can bring Firmino in, but then I've got the same forward line and the same midfielders as most people around me, certainly most people in the Mods and Cons League. And I've got Christensen instead of Jones, but apart from that, my defence is the same as well. So the reason why. Sorry,
it does keep it interesting. And actually, if we all had the same, they all had the same team in the Scoutcast, and they are too much alike for my liking. But if we all had the same team, what would we talk about? We'd just be all agreeing with each other.
The thing is, with that list that Wild Rover gave, I only got 5 of them. I haven't got Lingard or Alonso, so I never thought of myself as a template buster, but it appeared to be. But the other thing I think is that we're giving fantasy managers like ourselves and those around us a little bit too much credit, because they can be stupid at times. We can be stupid at times. We can make mistakes. As Captain Lingard, brilliant. So that means a lot of people around us are going, excellent. I can stick to the template because some fool has gone off it. Jay, for example, comes on here, top of the world, greatest manager of all time, comes on here, I'm going to smash the template and get rid of the best striker seen since Alan Shearer. And hey, presto, all those around him are going, nice one, Jay. Cheers, mate, because we've just gone up a place. And that's what we've got to rely on. For example, Mark, you not getting Firmino in, people around you are going, brilliant, nice one. You carry on with someone else and we'll just keep getting the Firmino points. I haven't got Alonso, so that's a mistake from me. People around me are laughing at that. And there's all sorts of mistakes. But one of the greatest ones is Salah. A quarter of the top 10,000 got rid of him. Many are getting him back in. Brilliant for us at the weekend. We'll get a double-digit score off him, and everyone who's dumped him is now trying to get him back in. They're probably taking a hit. So chances are, actually removing Salah's costs about 15 points from those around us. This is the top 10,000.
And a bigger price tag as well. They're losing value on.
And a bigger price tag. It's like a triple hit of stupidity, which is fantastic news for those who kept Salah. So one of the other ways of beating the template is ironically to stick with the template and just watch others make really, really stupid moves.
No, I totally get it. And I easily could have done Firmino last night, but I think that part of it is it's not just a pursuit of points and rank. It is about the enjoyment of playing the game. And you can't underestimate the fact that it's not pleasurable to have the same team, or you feel like you've got the same team as everyone around you. And sometimes it's not, like, obviously, I go into the weekend, Vardy at home to Watford, Firmino at Swansea. That injects a little bit of interest in the Scoutcast next week. It injects a little bit of interest in the weekend. Right? There's no guarantee that Firmino's going to outscore.
It takes a little bit. It also injects a little bit of interest in the DFS salesman on Monday night, who's going to be selling you a massive sofa when Firmino gets another double-digit haul.
Well, but it's not guaranteed. There's no guarantees that Firmino's going to. I think it's pretty close between Firmino and Vardy. I think Vardy at home to Watford, who are pretty awful at the moment.
I haven't checked, but I think Firmino's the second highest point scorer.
Yeah, but when I last checked, it's about points to be gained, not points that have already been gained, isn't it, John T? You're looking at players and going, how many points is Firmino going to get?
Well, so for example, one of your big things last week was Firmino is going to regress because Coutinho's out. His great Brazilian buddy is out, and he's going to regress. But all the other stats and lots of other people, all the measurements are showing that he's basically the same, because you've got the likes of Salah there. Basically, Liverpool tick with or without Coutinho. Therefore, Firmino ticks with or without him. So there's no regression there. But you're kind of planting that seed in people's minds that Firmino's going to regress. But that's simply not. If Firmino regresses, it won't be anything to do with Coutinho not being there. Just because there's some kind of regression there. But yeah.
No, I don't necessarily agree with that, because I think we can't judge Liverpool without Coutinho from that Man City game, because Man City are unlike any other team in the Premier League. Let's see what happens when they go to Swansea, when they go to Burnley. What have they got? They've got Swansea away, then Huddersfield away. These are the games which where teams are going to be on the back foot, defending deep. And that is more likely the scenario where Coutinho is going to be missed, because Coutinho was that little bit of magic to unlock a defence. So let's see. I mean, because the pace of Salah and Mane away from home against teams that defend deep is harder, isn't it? Just like it is for Vardy. People are saying, Vardy doesn't score goals against weaker teams because they defend deep. But it's similar for Liverpool when they try and play.
If Firmino was 8.5, would you get him in? And but he's part of it, because I know one of
the same price.
Because I know one of your motivations is that you don't like to lose value when people have got him in. So you don't like to buy someone.
No, there is that, but it was also because Vardy gives me a little bit extra money, and I looked at it and thought, well, I don't trust Lingard to keep it up, and so I did some calculations and thought, well, if I've got 1.8 in the bank, because I've got another transfer in mind, we'll talk about at the end, I can go Lingard to Pogba or Lingard to another player around that 8 million mark. It gives me a little bit extra to play with. Whereas if I went Firmino and Pogba does and Lingard does what I expect, which is to have a run of blanks, I'm a little bit more hamstrung into where I can go. So that was a factor as well. It's about future.
You were talking about the importance of looking ahead as well as in the past as well. And one of the things that you can get from history with Vardy is something that has just been brought up in the chat, actually.
I know what it is, yeah.
And you know exactly what it is.
Yeah, of course.
Because you've had a look at the goals he scored. Huddersfield are the only easy side he scored against. He's prolific against all the really tough sides. But with a big run of really tough games coming up, this is almost the worst time to get Vardy. The best time is when he's got a really awful run, because he paradoxically will keep scoring.
Yeah, maybe, but I still look at it and think that he's going to get chances against these teams. I had a look at the big chances that those teams can concede: Stoke, Bournemouth, Swansea, and Watford. And they're all up there in terms of big chances. And I think Mahrez is playing so well that I think he'll still get chances to score. He's a very different game, though, because obviously he plays on the counter, and that's where he's effective. I agree. And it's total gamble. And I know I should go Firmino. That's a safe thing to do, possibly the sensible thing to do. But for the sake of playing the game and giving myself a little bit more interest, I wanted to go Vardy. Plus, strategically, it gives me a bit more cash for whether Lingard regresses, which I kind of expect him to do. So
I think Wilson would have been a really
Wilson. I'm definitely
because the money you would have freed up, you suddenly can get a differential in midfield. So one I was going to mention, it's still sticking with Leicester, is Mahrez. 12% ownership. He's not. Can't even see him in the top 10k template, so he looks ideal for me. 3 double-digit hauls, 7 goals, 10 assists, 129 points. 5.6 points per minute. So, compared to Vardy, 4.5 points per match, 99 points.
There's always that transfer cloud over his head, though, isn't there?
There is that transfer cloud, but something Pure was saying, he seems to think that he's staying. I don't know if it was wishful thinking, but he just seems to be, the indication was that I'm simply not bothered about this, which is probably indicating he's going to be off in the summer. But that he's going to be staying there this time. There may not have been interest. But one interesting is 3 double-digit hauls. This is one of the reasons I'm really interested in looking at the forward fixtures, is that his biggest returns were against Huddersfield, Swansea and Brighton. So if you look at his things coming up, he's the guy who's going to score against these awful sides. Less so, perhaps, Vardy. So what I was thinking, if I was in your position, I would have gone for Wilson, and I would have upgraded a midfielder or got a midfielder. Yeah,
but who, Jonty? You've got Eriksen and Ali.
Lingard.
Eriksen and Ali, easy to do.
But I would have to upgrade Lingard because he's.
Yeah, but that's easy. That's easy to say now. Well, not after one. We can't give up on Lingard after one match.
Well, the thing is, I know you love price. You love price rises, and Lingard ain't going to be priced in price for a good. Well, in fact, he's going to be dipping. He's probably going to be losing value.
Jonty, leave the trolling to me.
the thing is, though,
but Granville is working.
I don't argue that Mahrez is a great buy, and certainly Lingard to Mahrez is another reason why I didn't want to go for Firmino, to give me a bit more money to do that. I totally agree with you. But right now, when you look at Arnautovic, Sterling, Lingard, Salah, and Son, which is the midfield that I've got, Andy's got, Granville's got. And it's where do you fit Mahrez in there at the moment? Taking Lingard out after one blank, that's quite Mahrez.
It depends when
the one thing you said actually, which I thought was quite interesting, is it's almost like it's not just you. Lots of people do it. I've done it in the past. It's like it's almost like a drug addict. Like you're chasing the thrill of getting the different player.
Yeah. No, totally right.
Yeah, and like for some people that's fun, but for me, and again, it's going to be classed as boring. I play in the long game, and at the end of the season, I want the highest rank, and I'm doing it the safest way. Yeah, other people want to chase it. The problem is a lot of those people that chase, and I wouldn't include you in this, I don't think, but a lot of those people that chase the high, they then get very emotional and rage transfer when that high doesn't pay off. Right. So they'll make a mistake, and then they'll try and rectify it by making a bigger mistake, like a gambler almost.
That's me in a nutshell.
If you can get Vardy in, And he's got the fixtures, of course. And if he doesn't do well, if you can kind of take that on the chin and kind of focus your next transfer normally rather than raid transfer, I think it's okay. But
it's not forever, though, is it? This is the other thing that we get hung up about. It's like we make a transfer and go, it's not like he's signed a 6-year contract with me. It's like if he has an awful game against Watford and Firmino gets 2 goals, yeah, I've lost the points. I've made a mistake. But I'll just go back on it, I guess. Or I go to Wilson when he's got a better fixture than West Ham, perhaps. I'm not getting Vardy in and going, right, he's going to be with me to the end of the year and I'm going to, I've messed
with
up.
Those fixtures, though, you're never going to want to get rid of him.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I think that I want to see, I'm fully aware of this theory that Leicester won't knock over teams who sit there, or Vardy doesn't score well against those teams. But I don't know. When I've seen Leicester, I saw Leicester against at home to Huddersfield, impressed by them there. I watched the Chelsea game and I thought they played really well. And Vardy should have scored in that game. I think they're playing well, and I think well enough where they can beat a team like Watford by a couple of goals, and he should get some points. I might be wrong. Firmino might go and Liverpool might win 4-0 again, and Firmino might get some points. But I think there's a chance that Vardy could outscore him, and if he doesn't, I'll make a transfer perhaps straight away. If I didn't do that and I got Firmino in, I would just... I don't know. I was closing a few options down as well. I've got some plans.
One of the other things is why already make the move? Why not wait till Friday when we've got loads more information and loads of information about transfers as well? And because you're going to lose 0.1 on Morata.
Yeah, because I've got a plan for the money if it comes through. And Morata, why not? I've got 2 transfers. Why not gamble?
I'll tell you why. And I've been in this position so many times. You got a player who lets you down as much as Morata has. The last thing you want to do is continue looking at your team with him in there.
Yeah, and
you've raged him out. You've raged him out, chasing the high.
And there's nothing wrong with it. I think everyone in this chat room has done that to some degree. What is interesting though about your chat with Jonty just now is the role reversal, because if you go back, say game week 10, 12. Jonty was the one who was bigging up Vardy, and you were the one who was bigging up Firmino.
We've all had a go, yeah. No, I agree. And Firmino's a fantastic player, and I wildcarded to get him in. I don't doubt that Firmino could outscore Vardy. It was just my motives for getting Vardy instead of Firmino were a couple of things. One, I wanted a bit more money, so a bit of flexibility when Lingard balls is up, which I think he will do eventually. I might be wrong. The other thing is I just wanted a bit, I don't know, add a bit of spice to proceedings to my game week, get a player in that Jack and Az and Andy and Jonty and yourself don't have. And that's it.
But it's the earliness of the move though. It's because it's like that was it game week 17 when you made a transfer to get a defender in, and then on the Friday Morata was injured. So everyone got Rooney or Firmino for a lot of people. But you'd already made that transfer, so you didn't make that move. So something like that could happen again. Something for another one of your players, and you think, "Oh God, I wish I'd made that move." Now, I mean, it might not. I mean, chances are it won't. It'd be quite hard if that did. But what I'm saying is for the sake of 0.1 and looking at Morata for a couple of more days in your team, I just think it's so important to have a bit more time, especially at this time with all the January transfers. Now, I'm not suggesting Walcott is an option for this weekend, but he's an example of a player.
No, I understand. But when I've got 2 free transfers, I like to use that advantage to make an early transfer to save 0-1. And the reason why the 0-1 is important is because I want to do Pope to Pickford this week. That gives me 1.8 in the bank, which is exactly what you need to do Lingard to Pogba. And so that option's free. Had I not made the move on Monday, that's gone. I can't go Lingard to Pogba. Now, it might never materialise. I might not want to do that move, but at least I know I can if I need to do it. Like if Pogba goes to Burnley, plays really well and gets more goals and assists, I'll probably get him in Saturday night for Lingard if Lingard blanks again. So that's in the back of my mind. And that
I was going to say once again, because then we got 10 days break between the next set of fixtures. So we've got cup games and all sorts going on the training ground or whatever. So I just want you really make that move that quick, and then what happens? Because Pogba does get injured. I don't know. Just for me, I mean, it's maybe just the dullard in me, but it's something that I know Jay's been talking about a lot on Twitter as well. It's just the importance of making that late transfer, just because in January, the information that we get at this time is incredible. And the next game week, there's a 10-day break between them. I wouldn't want to be making any transfers at the beginning of that.
No, I understand. I've been playing this game long enough to know the perils of an early transfer, but equally, you'll be spending 0.4 more on Alonso than anybody else. So there is a factor.
But the thing is, I don't.
Catches up with you.
But I don't mind that.
You will do when later in the season you can't make a transfer.
But then I'll try and find a player that's cheaper.
Yeah, of course you will. But all I'm saying is you can't say that price increases and team value doesn't matter, and that eventually, if you don't make early transfers at all, eventually
it's the way I've been playing this season, and it's worked. Is basically points before pounds, and the pounds do follow the points. So your team value still goes up if you get the right players in.
Of course.
But I'm being very conscious not to make any decisions based on price, because if I'm out by a few points of a million on a particular player that I want, well then I'll as I said, we've been doing this game for long enough. Then I'll look for someone else. I don't know. A lot of people wanted Lingard in over Pogba, but there'll be some that thought, well, I can't now get Pogba, so I'll get Lingard in. It's always some option there. So a player, well, I won't mention him now, but there's another Leicester player I have in mind in midfield who's considerably cheaper than Mahrez, and so he would be a player that I could think of going to, for example. There's always another option, and I think people get so hung up on it. Oh, there's not enough choice. There's not enough. Loads of players out there, and there's lots of good options. Lots of people have been ignoring all sorts of players. Like Martial gets ignored. Yeah, he keeps racking up the points. Lingard was getting ignored. Now he's not.
No, of course there's other players out there, but I've also been in situations where I haven't made an early transfer. Then a week later, I'm 0-1 short of the player I really want, and gone, had I made the early transfer there? So it swings and roundabouts. And I think when I've got 2 free transfers, I only ever make an early transfer normally when I've got 2 free transfers, because I know that if Vardy got injured tonight, I've got a second transfer. Worst comes to worst, I can use it on that. And I don't change Pope to Pickford. Not a disaster, fine. But when it's 1 transfer, I agree, of course. I don't try and make an early transfer. But I think when you've got 2, you've got a little bit of an advantage. And if you can use that advantage to get 0-1 saved, I like to do it. And that it's as simple as that.
That's the other. But the other good thing about this discussion is it shows that not only isn't there really a template, and there's lots of different ways of playing the game, but there's also lots of different strategies here. I mean, this is a prime example. There's lots of people like you, clearly, because there's so many people make transfers every week and make early transfers. I can't believe it. Like on a Saturday, people are getting these players in. They haven't even kicked a ball yet. And but they're doing that. And that's because they like to build up that team value. And I play in a different way. For me, it's like I have a personal battle with the pricing system. It's like I hate all the price rises so much. So I just blot it out. And it feels like a triumph for me if I can just ignore it. But there's different ways of playing it.
Can I just say about transfer, because I thought about this the other week, that players only go down when they're getting sold, and they only go up when they're getting bought, and none of it is related to the ownership of that player. I just wonder whether the powers that be could ever consider actually using ownership in terms of to determine price rises.
I think it plays a factor, but I don't know.
It will obviously play a factor because when people buy in, then the ownership goes up. But in order for a player to go down in price, for it to be afforded, just say, I don't know which players are overpriced this season. There's a few, aren't there? Sanchez, for instance. So Sanchez has not been afforded. No one's got Sanchez this season because he was overpriced from the start, and he's not been because he hasn't been bought by enough people. He's not been reduced. His price hasn't reduced that much, and so that player then is excluded from the game because he's overpriced and people don't get him. I just feel that they could introduce an ownership percentage into the price changes. I know they have. I know they do change it for every year. They seem to, and they change it this year. And there's not nearly as many price rises this year as there were. As it has been. You very rarely find players that go up 0.2 in a week.
I was just going to say it might be good to bring Andy in here because someone's just reminded me actually. There's a tweet that Andy put up saying he couldn't remember the last time he'd actually looked at a price rise, price change website. which is something we all look at all the time. But Andy can't remember, and I must admit, haven't looked too much, haven't paid much to. So Andy, yeah, I mean, why are you not bothering with price changes at the moment?
I'm almost doing a bit of an experiment this year because I had my best year last year. I'm kind of playing this season very similar. So I do check the price changes at the start of the season. When there's a lot more kind of knee-jerk transfers. Now it's a bit more relaxed, I think. But yeah, I've not checked it in ages. I feel like if I check it, that'll make my decision. And I don't. And yes, people tweeted me back saying, it should form part of your strategy or part of your decision, not the whole decision. But for me, it too much is then deciding on price raise. So someone tweeted me, for example, Calvert-Lewin is dropping in price. Now, that's not a player I really want to lose any value on. But my eye is on Nias, and I want to wait until Nias moves before I bring him in, and that's the transfer I want to make. I may make it anyway, just in case, but I don't want that to be effective, because if I then make the transfer because Calvert-Lewin's going down in price, and then Nias isn't the one I should have brought in, then I'm going to regret that. It's another transfer down the line. So I can't remember the last time I checked it. Last year I didn't do it. I had a really poor team value. I missed out on quite a few different price rises and so I wasn't paying attention, and I just made do with it. I just found different players to bring in at the end.
You're shooting up the rankings as a result, I think.
Yeah, and this year I've not checked, and I'm on like 106 million team value or something, which apparently is pretty good compared to what other people have got. I know people have got more, but some people have tweeted and said that's pretty high. So yeah, I'm just not bothered. I don't want it to form my decisions just because of 0.1 here or there. And there will be a time before the end of the season where I'm annoyed that I've not got that 0.1 million. I just have to make do with it, basically.
Yeah, it depends when it comes to haunt you. It could be for a player who ends up blanking anyway, but equally it could be in a double game week and you're 0-1 short of getting Hazard and you have to fall right back on Willian or Pedro. That's what I'm talking about. It depends. No, we can't really sit here now and go, well, if I don't sell Morata on Monday, then I'm not going to get this player in 6 weeks' time. I don't know. All I know is I had 2 free transfers, so the risk was minimal. So I didn't want to lose 0-1, so I did it. Simple as that. It's not any more behind it than that. And I think when I've got 2 free transfers, I just think that's fair enough. I think if disaster strikes, I can get out of it.
A confession, I did exactly the same last night.
Yeah,
I get Wilson in for Calvert-Lewin, who I thought was going down, but he's probably going to go down tonight.
But that's the other thing is the price, the price rise, the price change websites. They're just trying to predict. They're not as accurate. They would never claim to be 100% accurate. And yeah, so many times. Like I remember waiting months for Cedric's price to come down. Yeah. And he never did. And Salah's another great example. 10.1. It's like, well, everyone's thinking, well, I'll get rid of him. He's going to drop 0.3. Nothing. In fact, he's going to go up. In fact, he's gone up. So, that it's really hard to predict. That's the other thing. It's like a beast. You can't tame it. It's just there. I just can't even attempt to take on the FPL market with 5 million people making moves.
But I like it like that.
It's a leviathan.
I think FPL Virgin has been talking on the site this week about, we need transparency. I actually think it's more fun without it, because discussions like this are created by the uncertainty and the strategy we play with.
Well, I don't necessarily want transparency. It's just the sheer volume of people making transfers. And even if it was transparent, it'd still be the same issue for me. It's just the fact the sheer volume of people making new teams all the time, and you can't beat it. you just got to ride along with it and hope for the best.
We talked about it last year, didn't we? And about how I think that we kind of came to the consensus that as you got the template with your teams, but then you've also got the template of how people would play if there was transparency. Everyone would just wait until the end of the week and then make their transfers. And actually, making the early transfers can get you that extra team value, which is so important to build up at the start of the season. And then going into the second half, if you've got a team value of 106, some people 108, I've seen out there. If you can get to that high, then you're bringing in Pogba instead of Lingard, who is probably going to have more long-term potential or things like that. So it gives you a lot more flexibility.
Yeah, and that's my point. I think I think you get to about game week 30, 31, and then you stop doing that, because then it's not going to make a big difference, perhaps. But I think up until that point, if I can squeeze a bit more money out of it, I don't know if it's going to be an advantage or not. But like I say, in 2 free transfers, if I'm getting advantage, I'll try and get it, and that was it. And also, there's a point of like Granville was right. Morata, I'm not going to take him missing 6 big chances and he steals 0-1 out of my budget. That's even worse.
It's like theft.
So there's that. Yeah, exactly. It's like literally taking it out of my back pocket. And, it's like, no, I'm not. I wasn't having that. So
he's laughing in your face. He's doing it now, actually, even though you got rid of him. He's still sitting in the training
scoring
ground.
goals with his feet.
I think we spent. I think must have spent about 20 minutes on that one.
That was good. It was good.
0.1. We spent 20 minutes on that.
0.1 argument.
0.1. I'd have happily paid you that 0.1.
If only we could transfer money between us. Firmino and Aguero, let's touch on that quickly then. We've talked about Firmino already. Aguero we haven't done. None of us have got Aguero. And I must admit, I did look at it and think, I could do Christensen, Chilwell, Morata to Aguero. Should I have done that transfer? Let's talk. I mean, Andy, what do you think about Aguero at the moment? Do we fear him going into these games, or are we a bit sceptical about his form?
Yeah, I don't think my opinion's really changed too much from last week. Obviously, Liverpool a bit tougher fixture than they're going to get in the coming weeks, but I see glimpses of him where I don't think he's back to his old self, but he's probably been a bit unlucky not to score another goal or two, I'd say, in the last few weeks. But generally, I think he's a bit of a nostalgia pick at the moment. I don't really see a good reason to bring him in. If you've got Morata like you had, and maybe you've got money in the bank, just do a straight swap, then I could maybe see it. He's a bit of a template buster if you want. I think he's owned by less than 20% in the top 10K. But for me, it's a restructure, and I think for a lot of people, it's a restructure that's not worth it when Firmino's doing so well, and maybe Vardy will go ahead and do well now. So yeah, his form's not great. I just think at Man City, there's better players you can pick, and they have got a blank coming up. So we discussed last week that we don't want to not get these great players in just because of the blank in a few weeks. But the longer you wait, the less kind of advantage you get from bringing them in. Now there's one less week now. Will he play all the games of the fixtures they got coming up? I'm not sure. Jesus apparently is going to be back a lot quicker as well. There's not enough. There's not enough of a benefit I see there to bring him in. There's captain option, but I've got 2 really good captain options this week, so I don't need him. I don't want to restructure. I don't want to waste transfers bringing him in. It's a shame.
And I think I was going to do Son probably a downgrade to Richarlison, and maybe that would give me the money to do it. But then I watched Aguero at Liverpool, wasn't impressed, and then I watched Son and was impressed. So that was it. I couldn't do it. And Chilwell was as an option for Christensen, but I just thought, no, But Aguero didn't convince me. What do you feel about Aguero at the moment? Because if we're looking for differentials, we're looking for template busters. Surely they don't come much better, do they?
Yeah, and I think it's a shame that he's fallen from grace so much. Because even last season, we would have been ripping our teams apart to have a fit Aguero, Jesus out, playing Newcastle at home and then West Brom at home, and he'd be captain in both of those games in pretty much every other season he's been in the Premier League. So I think that the Liverpool game, I think before that game I was thinking maybe I should be looking to bring him in some roundabout way. When he missed that chance in the last minute of Liverpool, that made my mind up to me that he wasn't the Aguero of old, because he would have scored that last season. It wasn't a particularly easy chance. I just think he would have scored it last, maybe 2 years ago, definitely last year, probably. And I look at the games I'd want him for these next 2. Am I going to captain him this week? Probably not, because Kane's got an easy match against Southampton in theory, and Salah's got Swansea, so I'm looking at those 2. And then next week you've got Salah at home to Huddersfield. So again, I'm probably not going to captain in that game either. And as Andy said, it would be a complete restructure of my team to be able to afford him. And when you haven't got many other strikers to fall back on, when you do get bored of him, it doesn't give you as much flexibility as if he was a midfielder, which is a real shame, because I was all for him last week. But I think my mind's made up that I won't be going down that route.
No, exactly. I wanted him to basically impress me, and I wanted Son to kind of have an average game, and it completely flipped on its head, and it didn't work out, so I couldn't get him in. I'd have fancied it, and I might have even gambled on the captaincy going into these 2 games, but like you say, I think that changed everything. Lost Jonty there for some reason. What's happened there? Granville, your views on Aguero? I mean, like as says perfectly, we look at these 2 fixtures, Newcastle, West Brom. We expect him to deliver in those games, but I don't feel scared about it.
No, and I was going to say the same thing as ours. I don't think he's the same player, unfortunately. He doesn't look quite as sharp as he has done. He's been asked to do a bit of a different job as well under Pep, certainly this season. And there's just simply better value in that City team. I think I've learned that over this year. I mean, I had Aguero famously for quite a few weeks, and I had him with Jesus because I couldn't make my mind up, and neither were any good in the end. And I think it's just a system that they play in. I just don't think it really suits the strikers. And once they don't, with someone like Aguero, if he's not scoring, he's not in his positions, he's a bit out of his comfort zone. When he does get the chances, he's not putting them away like he used to. And that chance at the end, I'd have fully expected him to get, half a head on that and for it to go into the net. And instead, he got, he took too much of the ball. And it went wide. As it happens, it was offside, but it was a chance for them to score 3 goals in 5 minutes. But no, it's unfortunate. I don't think he's an option. And plus, with Kane now delivering, I think it just makes him less of an option because his budgets don't allow you to have both right this minute. I don't think. Well, not if you want the template midfield.
So I think that's answered that. I mean, Firmino versus Aguero argument, which with one over mid wicket brought up, that second striker spot. Firmino is clearly the optimum option, that second striker. I've gone Vardy for something different. Aguero would have been a factor, but I think game week 23 put us off, and it's just the way it is in the budget, of course, as well. Okay, we'll touch on Stoke. I think Jonty's left to make an early transfer, maybe. I don't know. Maybe that was it. I don't know.
Someone said he hasn't put the 0.1 million in the meter.
Yeah, that's probably what it is. Yeah, I'm sure we'll be back in a moment. Let's talk about Stoke briefly. I mean, I actually was impressed with them at Old Trafford. They should have scored, to be honest. The clean sheet should have gone. They had 2 or 3 chances. I don't know what they got to offer. Shaqiri, Choupo-Moting, maybe. I mean, any views on this, Andy? What Stoke could do? And the fixtures are good.
Yeah, fixtures are great. I think if you've got a spot in midfield like around the 6 million range, then I think Shaqiri, because surely Paul Lambert is not going to take him out of the side. Choupo-Moting came off before 60 minutes, which is a slight worry. I just look at Paul Lambert and I just think, how much is he going to inspire Stoke? He doesn't look like a manager that's going to inspire a team. But you couldn't ask for better fixtures to get a run going. They get a good win against Huddersfield. Suddenly, maybe there's a bit of confidence back. So Shaqiri is probably the only one I would look at. I think Choupo-Moting maybe, but I think with Wilson at his price and how well he's doing, I don't. Oh, sorry, Choupo-Moting's a midfielder as well, isn't he? Mm. Yeah, sorry, stupid me. Yeah, Shaqiri then for me, I think, because I think I just prefer him to Choupo-Moting because he's probably nailed on for sure. Yeah,
Choupo-Moting 5-3 cheaper, but yeah, Shaqiri. I mean, he's on set pieces, on penalties last time we checked on that as well, so we don't expect that to change. No, I think it's like there's some potential there, but we're not going to break the midfield template up for Shaqiri, are we, at the moment? And that's the problem. That's the problem there. I mean, any views as on Stoke? I mean, we're not going to go shopping there yet, are we?
Just that teams are always going to be fired up when they go to Old Trafford. And I think any team with Stephen Ireland starting and Paul Lambert as manager and I mean, it's Crouch up front. It's just awful, isn't it? And Paul Lambert has to be the most uninspiring manager I think I've ever seen given a job. I mean, his record recently has been atrocious, and it's good news for Brighton because I'm sure they're going to go down, and I think they're probably going to get battered at home to Huddersfield, and then all the confidence will be lost. And I mean, Choupo-Moting is the only player who I might have considered, and then he got subbed off at 59 minutes, didn't he, as well? So that just puts another nail in his coffin. I think I wouldn't go there.
I think it'd be a bit harsh, and so I think Stephen Ireland's my fancy Ireland risk. I'm rolling back the Granville for Stephen Ireland. I thought he played well at Old Trafford.
Did? I think he did.
He did not make Paul Pogba, didn't he?
Exactly. I thought it was a golden moment. Jonty's made his transfer. He's popped back in. I don't know. Has he lost his camera? Yeah, I just think Stephen Ireland goes back to the days when we started this ScoutCast, Granville, doesn't he?
Yeah. Oh gosh, yeah. You loved it. Arteta was another one I remember you had at
back.
One of the first 2 or 3 seasons. He was like your differential, but Stephen Ireland, yeah, that was annoying. I remember when he scored a fantastic goal. I can't remember who it was against, but it was just like, and he kept scoring. Yeah. And I didn't have him. He's only about 6 million, wasn't he?
So he's definitely going to be my fancy Alan Visk on the basis that you're back in the rivalry race now, and I'm harking all the way back to those years when I had Stephen Ireland, just to remind you about that. Play a little bit of mind game. No, exactly, that's true. John, we were just discussing Stoke. So your views on Stoke? I was saying what a fine player.
My internet went, and I appeared to come back in 2008.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Stephen Ireland, Peter Crouch, Stephen Ireland.
So time machine stuff. What are you after from me?
We'll talk about Stoke. Is there any potential there? Good fixtures, we know. Shaqiri, possibly.
I still looked at the Lambert appointment. I just thought there's a team preparing for life in the Championship. I know they're looking at it and going, "Oh, look, he kept Villa up for like a minute." But it's great news for Brighton. It's fantastic. He hasn't been a very impressive manager. He's clearly not their first choice. He's clearly not anyone's first choice. It would be a miracle if you can keep them up. Having said that, their fixtures are great. Shaqiri, someone I'm always looking at. I think you could bring Choupo-Moting. I'd love, because I'm still without Alonso, and so I'm looking for that kind of player, that kind of price. So I would love it if at this weekend Lambert proves me completely wrong, and Choupo-Moting and Shaqiri and they start getting the points.
Get Bauer instead of Alonso.
Yeah, Bauer looks all right. All right. I don't know. I think they've got a chance of staying up. He's got to get a striker. But I think he's got a couple of good players creative wise, and Zumar's a very good defender. He's Shawcrest back, got a great goalkeeper. I don't know. I think they've got a chance. I think Brighton. I think you two Brighton fans are being a little bit optimistic, straight writing them off. But we'll see. We'll see. I don't think Brighton are in danger though. Let's do the weekend preview then before it gets to midnight, shall we? Okay. Well, I've done my fancy on this. It's Stephen Ireland, just to roll it all back to 2004, whenever it was he was in his pomp. Just to remind Granville there. My clean sheet, I'll come back to me. Let's go to Andy first. Clean sheets and fancy on this. Clean sheet first, Andy.
Well, I'm also going Stoke, but I don't know if I can get away with this now you're going Ireland. I'm going to go with Shaqiri. I'm going to take the more obvious one from Stoke. He's done okay in the last few games, considering he's not played too many minutes. And like I say, he's got to be nailed on there, most creative player. So I'm just banking on Stoke being able to pull it around against Huddersfield. I think what better fixture to start a bit of a run going. So Shaqiri for me, and then clean sheet. Did you ask for clean sheet?
Yeah, go on, do it further then.
I hate taking like one of the obvious ones when I go first, but I'll take Man City against Newcastle. I think that's a clean sheet there.
Yeah. Okay. As yourself, clean sheet first.
Well, while we've got the time machine out, I'll go back to earlier in the season when Aaron Moy was in everyone's team. Moy, one of Moy's boys, Jonty was. So he's got Stoke, and I think Stoke are terrible. And he got an assist against West Ham. So I think he could profit against Stoke.
Yeah, and Pritchard as well is a fairly decent signing for Huddersfield, I think. Watch him in the number 2 role. He's a good player.
Sorry.
Yeah, go on.
Clean sheet.
Yeah, go on.
Clean sheet. Actually, I think the most obvious clean sheet is Chelsea against Brighton. I just cannot see Brighton scoring in that game. And I think Chelsea will get back to winning ways pretty comfortably. Because Houghton hasn't got a clue what he's doing against the top 6.
Okay, John, did you share that? I mean,
totally.
Okay, your clean sheet and your fancy on this then.
I'm going to go for Everton. Sam Allardyce was music to my ears at the end of match of the day. He said, "I'm going to go really boring. I want to be the last on every week. 0-0, 1-0. That's what he wants." So I think all week he's just going to be working on that exact path, and I don't think West Brom are good enough to stop Big Sam once he's got something on his mind. And yeah, my fancy on risk is a player I am considering this week myself. Is Albrighton at Leicester. There's lots of advantages for him. He's 5.6. He's created the most chances out of any Leicester players over the last 4 game weeks as well. So he's scored. He's got 2 assists. He's getting returns. He's got good fixtures. He's nice and cheap. And hopefully he passes Greenwindle's test of being a risk.
Oh, yeah. Totally fine. I think it's a good pick. Granville, your clean sheet, fancy on risk.
I think my clean sheet, I'm going to pick Leicester. I think they're pretty solid at home. Watford, I don't know about Watford this season. They had such a good start to the season. I don't know what's happened to them over recent games. And my fancy Allen risk is going to be the Ox on the Monday night. I think I was quite impressed with him actually against City. I thought he had a great game, and maybe he's found his place at Liverpool. Maybe he'll be a regular there.
Yeah, 5.4. I mean, there's another player in that bracket which you know could be handy to us if Lingard starts faltering. Yeah, I mean, I'll go. I don't want to go Man United at Burnley because I actually think they might concede one there. They were very fortunate against Stoke. Don't understand how they're. I mean, De Gea obviously he's getting save points because he's being called upon. It's very surprising how often they're having to rely on De Gea to save him in matches. But I'll go Spurs at Southampton. I don't see Southampton having a goal threat about Chaz. I just don't. I don't see Spurs conceding there, so I'll have that one. I'm a fancy Island Stephen Ireland, of course. We'll see how he does. I'm so happy to see him back on the pitch. Transfers and captains. Andy, over to you first.
Yeah, transfers. I'm like I said earlier, I'm probably going to bench. Just looking at my team. Sorry, not bench. Transfer one of my bench players. So maybe me to someone like Robertson or Masuaku, and then just bench them, or Calvert-Lewin to Nias and bench him. The only person in my first 11 that I'm thinking about getting rid of is Pope. The only problem is I probably, like you, want Pickford, which means I've got to make 2 transfers. And just with so much going on in January, I don't really want to use both my transfers. So I might just get the money and just play Pope against Man United. So one of those bench players are going. It'll probably be Calvert-Lewin, I think. And then captain, I think I'm going to captain Salah. And I think everyone's going to go Kane. And then I think there's Salah a risk. But then how can Salah be a risk? So I think he's going to be. I think that's actually maybe a calculated punt because Kane's going to be the most captain. So maybe Salah will do well. And I think I listened to another podcast today, and they put it really well. Who got the assist was they think Kane's got the higher ceiling, but Salah's got a higher floor in that he always gets points, whereas Kane will get a big brace, but he will then blank as well. So I said it to you ages ago, Mark, on the ScoutCast, we should be captaining Salah every week, and I've barely done it once. And I think
I haven't done it once.
Nothing's changed. He's getting points every week. The guy's ridiculous. And I think while Mane and Firmino and him are fit, Coutinho's not going to be too much of a miss. So currently, I got it on Salah.
Is that a symptom, though, of the template in that you're making boring transfers? So you're thinking, like, as did last week. I know Az is saying it's not down to the template, but I do wonder whether you go, I can't captain Kane if I'm doing boring transfers.
No, like Salah gets points every week. He's got more double figure hauls. And I looked at, Johnny might correct me because being the stats man, I looked at the defences for kind of Southampton and Swansea, and they seem fairly similar for how much their kind of attempts attempts against them both in the last 4 game weeks and at home over the course of the season. So there's not much in it. So I'm going to go for the guy that regularly gets points, even if Kane could get a higher ceiling. I've got both. I don't see me getting punished too much.
No, fair enough. Az, what are you doing?
You tell me. I've got absolutely no idea this week. I don't really want to get rid of Ali because he's got a good record against Southampton, as Jaunty's pointed out to me. But I also am very aware that I don't have Arnautovic. And I could do Ali to Arnautovic and Calvert-Lewin to Firmino for a 4-point hit, which would be the proper template move, but looks quite a good move on paper. So I could do that, or I could not do that and do something else weird like I've been doing lately. Or I want Wilson, I want De Bruyne, I want Mane. There's lots of players I want. I can't give you an answer because I haven't got a clue. I have absolutely no idea. I need to sort my strikers out. I've got Deporte and Calvert-Lewin. I need to do something with that, I guess. I don't know. I might save my transfer. I don't know.
And you're going to captain Kane?
Kane or Salah? I'm not sure. I agree with all of Andy's logic. I think both players have the potential to score big. I don't think there's much in the teams they're playing. Kane's got... who's on penalties for Liverpool now? Would Salah be taking over?
Well, we don't know. It could be Firmino, I'd say, but we don't. Who knows?
If Milner and Sturridge aren't on the pitch, which is very likely, then we think it'll be Firmino.
Yeah, that's my answer to all your questions. I have no idea. Sorry.
Granville, what are you up to?
I think they've all missed a penalty, haven't they? Both Salah and Firmino, both missed penalty. Yeah, so it's difficult to judge. I'm surprised no one's actually mentioned Sterling this week because home to Newcastle. But I think I'd probably be captaining Salah. I think he's got a better fixture, and also I did say this last week, but Monday night fixtures, having that captain in the hand is quite nice. Although I know it didn't work out for ads this week.
Okay, and your transfers?
I've made one because I did Calvert-Lewin to Wilson, and I'm probably gonna play him, and that will sort of break up that midfield template. Yeah, I think so. I think he's slightly better. I just have a feeling that Burnley are going to be really tight, as they normally are, and sometimes United struggle against those teams who can defend. And I think I'm going to save the other. I've got 2 transfers. I think I'm going to save the other one. There's a temptation to replace Speroni, who's now out of favour, but I think I'm going to resist that because I think the Hair's not going to get. He's going to play every game, isn't he? I don't think maybe later on in the season when United are in the Champions League final, maybe he'll get.
Oh yeah, of course. That's going to happen. Granville to Jonty. No water being passed in this time.
So basically, players I want. Alonso, I want a Leicester player. I want Mahrez. I'm willing to go for all Brighton. I'm happy with everyone else. And the player to make way, I think, will be Eriksen, because I do have that triple Spurs. I didn't want to break up that triple Spurs attack last week because they had 2 good games ahead of them. But now Eriksen's just got the 1 good game and then really poor games. As mentioned there, Ali's got something ridiculous, like 5 goals and 4 against Southampton. He's also the underlying stats man there. Eriksen's less so. I feel that Eriksen might get me an assist. He may even score, but I just think Ali's got that potential for a really good 15, 16-point haul. He might not, but he's definitely got that potential. Same with Kane, really, there. So I think Eriksen's going to make way. And as I said, Alonso is a player obviously I want. If I don't get him this week, I will get him next week. So I'll either use 1 transfer to get rid of Eriksen for Mahrez, or I'll get Albrighton in and get rid of Schindler for Alonso, and then that'll be tickety-boo. But if I don't get Alonso this week, I will get him the following week. I can't keep going Alonso. It's too much.
Yeah, I think I said in the thread there was probably about 4 players that I think it's Kane, Salah, Sterling, and Alonso. I just think you can't. It's hard to watch matches.
It's hard, yeah. I mean, it's also because he is Chelsea's best player, and he's far cheaper than all the other. So at the moment, I mentioned I think in the Scout Picks article, he's actually now the complete fantasy asset on current form. So he's getting the goals, the assists, the clean sheets, and the bonus points. And he's 7. I mean, he's just absolutely the complete fantasy player. So yes, I do want him in, but I do have a think about getting Mahrez in. It's been a plan of mine to get Mahrez in for this week and for a while, and I don't know. I just don't particularly want to fall to it. Captaincy is obviously between Kane and Salah. They're both brilliant, and they're both against awful teams. So I think I'm going to go Kane, but I have had success with captaining Salah before. So yeah, still wavering, but at the moment, 70-30 towards Kane.
It's going to be close, isn't it, in the captaincy amongst the FFS users based on this small sample, but it looks like Salah's going to get quite a bit of support. I know the poll's very close as well, so it's an interesting one. We'll have to
it's the thing about ceiling and floor, as was mentioned, who got the assist we're talking about as well, and I think that's really key. I just think Kane will get me a higher score, but I know Salah will get me something, and especially on a Monday night, perhaps if I haven't had a good week up till then, knowing that I've got Firmino and Salah captain, that would be...
It's overrated, the Monday night game.
Yeah, I don't like having the captain on a Monday night.
No?
I don't like Sunday. I like it. I don't like
it. It all depends what's happened, I suppose.
Yeah.
If nothing's happened, then you're going in to have a really good Monday night. But yeah, if Kane's obviously scored a hat-trick on Sunday, it'll be a nightmare.
What's going on with this? What's going on with this poll? Like, Sterling's in 5th, 89 votes. Tosun has got 142 votes.
Yeah, he did well last week as well, didn't he? I think a lot of people.
It's not a captaincy option.
No, just voting for him for the sake of it. Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, especially with Sam Allardyce saying, forget my strikers, don't even look at them.
No, absolutely. Well, so I'll go on to my transfers and captain. I'm talking about us. I'm going to go Pickford. I wanted to get him about 6 weeks ago, and I remember you going, "Oh, don't get rid of Pope. Pope's going to be there forever." And I think Pickford. Look, he's got 3 double-figure scores, and he's the only keeper to have done that. And I don't want to go De Gea because I just think it's a little bit of a stretch. I could do, but again, it's going back to the template. So I'm looking for something different there. And looking at what Pickford's done when he gets clean sheets, he's got double figures and more than De Gea, more than Fabianski, more than Pope. He's got 3 of them, and like Allardyce said, Allardyce, I mean, you got to think that his reaction to that is going to, I mean, it's hard to believe how more defensive he could be, but he just seemed adamant that, oh, that's it, I'm going to be far more boring. So a clean sheet against West Brom at home looks almost nailed on, doesn't it? So I'm probably going to use it to go poke to Pickford, and then I can just forget about Pickford. I think he'll be there forever because he'll get me save points, and Big Sam will keep probably quite a few clean sheets between now and the end of the season. Okay, I'm a captain. It's Kane at the moment. I'm probably going to stick with that, mainly because I just think Spurs look so impressive against Everton. They go into that Saturday game full of confidence. And I'll go for the Kane ceiling rather than the Salah floor, I think. I still want to see Liverpool at Coutinho against a team like Swansea. I think it's going to be an interesting game. They could knock them over, or it could be a grinded 1-0 victory. We'll see. Going to be a very interesting match, that one, because it's on a Monday night as well. I don't know. Just don't tell me why I don't like Mondays. I just don't like the Monday night football. Okay, that was a long one again. We started with a cut down set of notes, but I knew the template discussion would blow up, and it certainly did. Another good Scoutcast, though. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining me. Thank you, Andy. Thank you, Az, Granville, and John T. Granville, it's back on again. It's back on. This time next week, hey, you could be beating me. Yeah. Okay, just like the old days. It's good night from me.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night, all.